Welcome to eHealth Indonesia 2020 Goes Online. This is University Webinar Series. My name is Puji and I'm going to be moderating this webinar. This webinar is going to be presented by Zealand Institute of Technology and Business. Please stay tuned until the end of the webinar because we will hold a Q&A session. If you have any questions about the presentation or anything related to the country's higher education, you can submit your question in YouTube's comment section anytime throughout the presentation. And now, please welcome the representative of Zealand Institute of Technology and Business.
Hello and welcome to this session. I'm happy to have the chance to give you virtually at least an input on Zealand Academy of Technologies and Business and our offer to international students. I'm just going to share a PowerPoint because I've prepared a PowerPoint and I'm going to walk through that within the next half hour, trying to address typical and common issues a student might have before going abroad to study for their degree. Just 2 seconds. I just need to find there. So I hope you follow the timetable in terms of Zealand Academy of Technologies and Business. Now, first of all, a few contacts. If you want to explore more, visit our webpage, zealand.com. You can also approach us by email, studyindenmark@zealand.dk. Now, who are we? Well, first of all, we are a public institution in Denmark. In fact, in Denmark, you only find public institutions, and we are under the Ministry of Higher Education and Science. When we talk about an academy in Denmark, then you can compare us to a University of Applied Science. You may be familiar with this term. I'm going to explore a little bit later on with you what is the difference between a typical research university and then a University of Applied Science. We're the 5th largest in Denmark, approximately 3,000 full-time students. We have a really good international population. 16% of our students are international students, also from Indonesia. We also have a number of part-time students, 250 staff, and a number of programs we offer. Now, where are we? Here you see a map of Denmark. We are located on the island of Zealand, or you can also call it Greater Copenhagen Area, because we are actually in the capital region in the outer part of the capital city, Copenhagen. The programs we offer, we only offer in the campuses in the proximity of Copenhagen. So even though we have other campuses further away, then this is because we have a regional mission. We have to make education available in all of Zealand, but we have a global reach. And this is why international programs are located in the proximity of the capital city. One of the characteristics is also that we have quite close links with business and industry, and you're going to explore that later on as well. Now, Denmark, for those of you who don't know that much about Denmark, then Denmark is a pretty small country. You can call us the gateway between Scandinavia and continental Europe. We are, in fact, a part of Scandinavia, consisting of Sweden, Norway, and Finland, and then, of course, Denmark. Denmark consists of one major peninsula, which is connected, so mainland connection to Germany. And then you have 2 islands, the island of Fyn and then Zealand, where we are located. When you look upon Danish population, well, some of you may live in Jakarta right now, 5.8 million in the whole country of Denmark. That may contrast you to the Jakarta, where you probably have a population 2 or 3 or 4 times bigger. So you can say Denmark is a relatively small place, both in terms of the country, geographically, but also in terms of the people living there. We have 4 major cities in Denmark. Copenhagen is where we're located. And then in the peninsula, you have 2 major cities, Aarhus and Aalborg. And then in the island of Fyn, you have Odense. Now, in Denmark, we speak our own language. We have a Danish language, but most people would speak English as a second language, so you can easily manage in daily life, living in Denmark, knowing English. We, of course, try to promote you in terms of trying to learn Danish language, because this will also benefit you later on when you're trying to look for a job upon graduation in Denmark. Some of you may know Denmark from green environment or green energy. This is at least something we are quite popular with in the rest of the world. We have a lot of bikes in Denmark. We have a very efficient transportation system, and in general, we have quite high standards of living. Why study in Denmark? Well, one could ask, why not study in the country with the happiest people in the world? This is just a small statistic to show you, because you can also try to Google it yourself. Happiest people in the world, you will see this is Denmark. Well, are we then smiling all the time? Are we laughing all the time? Is it this what it tells us? No, probably not. But it tells you something about life in general. Life is good. People in general don't face a lot of problems living in Denmark. And this is why we come out in all these surveys as being one of the happiest places in the world. Now, the programs we offer only undergraduate programs. So are you looking for a master degree? Then it's not us. We also offer an applied learning approach. Applied meaning we don't focus on learning theory, but we focus on learning and how to use theory. All our programs carry internships. They are mandatory and they are embedded into the curriculum. So you cannot study with us, no matter which program you study in, without doing an internship. This, of course, also means that when we look upon employability, our students and our graduates have a relatively high employability. Why? Simply because besides studying, they also develop their work experience while studying with you. We focus also on developing our students' global mindset and global competences. And the latest figure shows we measure this upon graduates. 25% of our graduates in 2018 had done a mobility abroad. So either doing an internship abroad or doing a study abroad. Our program also have a relatively high flexibility. If you refer to the figure, there you see this is the qualification network. And as you can see, we offer academy profession degree and all the way to a professional bachelor's. So short circle programs, and also on top of that, first circle. So for master degree, you would then transfer to a research university. Now, in a popular way, you could say the difference between us as a University of Applied Science and a research university is a research university is focused on know-how. So their focus is how to put as much theory in your head by studying, by reading books, by going to lectures. Our focus is perhaps a little bit more on knowing how to do it. So you have to learn the same theory on same level, but our focus would be not to focus on learning the theory, but how to put the theory into practice, how to use the theory you're learning in a respect to the degree you study and prepare yourself for. Here, just to give you an overview, we have a very broad range of programs, and of course, only the ones marked with the UK flag or the English flag are the ones we offer as full degree programs for international students. But besides, you can see we range from nutrition, from food, from process technology, to agro, landscape. We have building architecture. Those programs, unfortunately, we don't offer in English language. But what do we then offer in English language? Well, when you study with us, you study in two steps. First, the AP degree, which is the first 2 years. On top of that, you then build your bachelor degree, 1.5 years. So altogether, 3.5 years. We have marketing management, logistics. I'm going to focus a little upon what is in the program, computer science, multimedia design and communication. We have service, hospitality, tourism, and then we have commerce management. And then on top of that, you can build with web development, international sales and marketing management. And then we also have digital concept development. Now, instead of telling you a little bit, a lot about courses, what do you study, how many ECTS in all the courses, my focus is perhaps a little bit more on telling you what typical career you actually educate yourself for, because this is also one of the characteristics when you study with an Academy of Applied Science, University of Applied Science in Denmark, is you actually prepare yourself for a job career. Marketing management would be a typical business career as a marketing coordinator within sales, could be within purchasing, could be within advertising. Commerce management positions would be as a supervisor, project manager, logistics, tourism sector. Service, hospitality, tourism, well, it almost tells the word itself. It is, of course, focusing on either tourism, a job within tourism, as for instance in tourism and travel agency, within cruise tourism, or for instance within general booking. Hotel restaurant management, of course, with a focus towards hotels, a job within hotels and restaurants. Service management would be, for instance, as a consultant, would be within health treatment centers and so on. Logistics. Logistics, a lot of people think logistics is about shipping. Well, to some extent it is, but logistics is actually also dealing with moving things from point A to point B. Where do we do this? Well, we do logistics, for instance, within exporting, production planning, so getting raw materials, producing the product that the company produce, and then you have also the the ready-made product. It could be planning of transportation, could be international marketing, purchasing. So that would typically be a career you would pursue within logistics. Computer science, well, it's programming, systems development, a lot of zeros, a lot of ones. You could be a network administrator or within multimedia development. Multimedia design and communication is a little bit more, you can say, creative. You could be a multimedia designer, webmaster, web designer, multimedia consultant, and so on. If you want to build upon your AP degree, so the first step for a bachelor degree, then we offer three possibilities for you. And of course, the different AP degrees also correspond to the top-up major you study for. So for instance, international sales and marketing management would be typically marketing management, could be commerce management or logistics, because now you're moving a little bit up into middle management level, still within international sales, marketing. So as a sales representative, a sales supporter, could be as a sales planner, even a manager, but it would be typically middle management. Digital concept development is a program. It sounds quite technical. It is actually not. Typically, multimedia designers, marketing management, commerce management, computer science would be graduates that would continue within digital concept development. And basically, you take your degree into a more digital approach. So, for instance, digital advertising, social media strategy. You would be working within interactive digital marketing, e-shop, e-commerce, e-marketing in general. When we talk about web development, then we talk about a more technical program. Typically, it would be for major part computer science, could also be multimedia designers who want to become a little bit more profound within programming, systems development. So typically, webmaster, application developer, systems developer. So in general, that would be the career you educate yourself for. Now, we skip that one because I can also see we have a time issue. Living in Denmark. So one thing is, of course, studying. And when you go abroad to study, you also need to reflect a little upon living and the situation of living. Well, first of all, as I told you in the beginning, Denmark is one of the happiest places in the world. We actually also ranked as one of the top countries in terms of prosperity. So in general, you can say living conditions are relatively high in Denmark and relatively good. It is a safe country. One thing students quite often ask about is part-time jobs. Is it easy to have a part-time jobs? Can I find a part-time job? Yes, you can. In fact, we also promote among students to try and find a part-time job, because it is actually also a way for you to get a little bit away of the schoolwork. You will also get a different social circle when you, for instance, have a job, meet other people. Could be a way also of integrating a little bit more into Danish society. So not only being here as a student, but actually one who is trying to make a life in Denmark as well. Typically, part-time jobs, at least in the beginning, would be within the service industry. So could be within a restaurant, could be in a hotel. Even cleaning would pay relatively good in Denmark. Typically, the average wage in Denmark is in euros, from around 12 to 9 euros per hour. So you can say, in general, student jobs pay relatively well. But you also need, you can say, a relatively solid budget to live in Denmark. In Denmark, we don't go by euros. We don't use euros as it is right now. We have our own currency, Danish kroner or DKK, but the exchange rate between euro and Danish kroner is fixed. So 1 euro is approximately 7.5 Danish kroner. If we look upon a student budget to cover accommodation, food, other necessities, you might need a telephone, leisure, go out with your friends, have a coffee, have a tea. Typically for a student, we say 800 to 1,000 euros per month. That would typically be what you need to cover your living costs in 1 month. And when we talk about part-time jobs, will you have a part-time job from day one? No, typically not. Typically, when you come to Denmark, you need to settle down. It will take you 1 or 2 months to get adjusted to a study life. And of course, also finding yourself a part-time job. So typically within the first 1 month to 3 months, that would be the time where you perhaps can find yourself a part-time job. So we normally recommend to students, well, if you want to come to Denmark, you at least would need around 4,000 euros as savings or support from your parents. It is of course nice if you have more, but at least this would be the minimum recommendation that we would recommend if you are considering to go to Denmark. Because like I said, you don't find a job day one, and you need to be able to sustain yourself for living expenses until you find yourself a part-time job. Admission. When we talk about the programs we offer, what are then the admission requirements? Well, first of all the programs we offer, you need to have finished your upper secondary level or your high school. If you have IB, so International Baccalaureate, or a Cambridge certified background, which I know a lot of students in Indonesia have, then we actually give preference to those students because you have studied for your major, high school major in English. But of course, you can also enter with an Indonesian upper secondary entry qualification. Then all our programs also carry a specific program-specific requirement in terms of mathematics. And I can refer you to our webpage, sealand.com, for more details. But in general, when we give admission, then certain programs require different levels of math. So for instance, the AP degree in marketing management or our AP degree in computer science, those programs require the highest level of math. And how we measure that will be according to the number of hours you have studied math in your upper secondary school. We require 250 hours of math if you want to study, for instance, computer science or marketing management. But I refer you to our webpage in terms of practicalities on on how we then find out how many hours of math you actually have had. Then we also require you to demonstrate English language proficiency. We do recognize other tests but the IELTS, but we go by the level IELTS 6.5. So you can have an equivalent score, for instance, from TOEFL or Cambridge or anything like that. So anything that can be recognized, we would recognize that. And then lastly, but not least, we also require you to prepare a motivation letter. And one of the things we would like to see from a motivation letter is your motivation for going abroad to study. Why do you want to go abroad to study? What is it that appeals to you? we perhaps don't like to see motivation letters. For instance, you can find them if you Google them. You can find them online, where you actually can buy yourself or more or less a ready-made one. We actually prefer one made by you compared to one that sounds good, because it is you we actually want to judge. But when we receive your application, then we try to measure you in terms of being a whole person. So it is not only that you have high grades in your upper secondary, it is trying to find out who are you and whether you would fit into the program you actually apply for. Now, as an Indonesian student, you will join us as what we call a non-European student, and this means also tuition fee applies. With us, you need to prepay for the first year, so the first 2 semesters. And that is a fixed 71,000 Danish kroner, or equaling approximately 9,800 euros. So this you need to prepay when we give you admission, and you are paid for the first year. Second year, so consecutive years, you pay per semester. And typically also the price will be a little bit lower when you advance into second year, and if you continue, for instance, for the top-up bachelor, third year, and so on. But you have to prepay. That is a requirement we have. And then also when you apply for your student visa, or in Denmark it's actually a study residence you apply for, you also need to be able to document that you have sufficient funds to support living expenses in Denmark for the first year. And typically you would do this with a bank statement or that you have sponsors or something like that. You will receive what is called a non-EU residence permit for studying in Denmark, and that also includes a travel visa to Schengen countries. So you will be able to travel around in the Schengen countries without applying for any additional visa. And also when you have your residence permit for Denmark, it comes automatically also with a part-time work permit. So you don't have to apply again for a part-time work permit. That is your right. So when you have a student visa, then you also have a right to have a part-time job permit. Now, when do you apply? Well, it is at least now you have to consider to apply if you want to join us for September next year. The application window for Denmark is from 1st of February to 15th of March next year. If you miss 15th of March, well, we don't have any possibility to include you for September study start. So it is now you have to start thinking about perhaps wanting to join your program in Denmark. You apply online. In Denmark, we have an application portal, a bit similar to the UCAS in the UK. Ours is just optagelse.dk. You log into there, it will open, and there will be like 3 bars, 3 columns, and you of course follow the one in English because the other 2 are meant for Danish applicants and will be in Danish language also. I also refer you to our webpage, sealand.com, where you find additional information on the programs I've talked about, but also the admission requirements and how to apply a program. And then also I can refer you to our local partner in Indonesia. Sealand Academy of Technology and Business have been part of EHEF Indonesia for several years. The first year we joined were in 2014. So we have been there. Every year since then, and we are of course very sad that we have to do it virtual this year. But we know also that finding relevant information about us, about options in general, can be difficult due to the geographical distance, the time distance, and so on. We have a local partner, Mr. Yunus Caesar in Indonesia. He's from Eduplan Indonesia. I strongly recommend to connect with him. You have his WhatsApp number here, 62857 2768 6969 or info@eduplanindonesia.com. connect with him. He has been to visit us, so he knows very well our institution. He has also been sending students to us. So in that sense, you can say he is familiar with what does it take to actually go and study in Denmark. Now, time is more or less getting to the point where it's question time. So I would like to ask if any of you might have questions of relevance to ask me.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. We have a few questions already, so let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Our first question, we have about the registration requirements, particularly for Indonesian students.
Yeah.
Can they register with their degree certificate or final exam results? And do you have any minimum score for that? And also, in your explanation, I've noticed that IB and Cambridge curriculums are given preference.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, can they register using prediction score?
One more time, the last part. I didn't get the last part.
So
Can they
I noticed that,
register?
can they register using prediction scores?
Predictive scores?
Yes.
Yes, you can, because as also already observed, when you apply us 1st of February to 15th of March, you don't have your final diploma yet. So this means you would apply us with predicted scores, and then of course eventually we would need to have your diploma to confirm admission, but at least we can process you as far as now we are ready to give you admission, and we also need to admit you a little bit earlier than other students because you also need to apply for the visa. So typically, when we talk about early June, this would be where you have your final admission, but again, on the condition that you send us the graduation diploma when you have it. And yes, it is correct. You can apply us, or we give preference to students with IB or a Cambridge background, but in general, you can also apply with an Indonesian high school background. So options are available, but giving credit is we give preference to. So they have a little bit more points for admission. That is the issue.
Right, thank you very much. So your presentation has been quite an insightful introduction of Zealand Institute of Technology and Business and how it is like to study there. But the audience would like to hear more about the city itself. And how is it like living there as an international student? And what kind of typical challenges they encounter both in their studies and settling down in the city, and what kind of support is available?
In general, I can recommend you to join for the EAGF on coming Friday and Saturday, because on coming Friday and Saturday, I actually will have an Indonesian student joining me. And there, of course, you will be able to ask some of these questions. But I would think that, at least this is my impression from the feedback that I have, is students in general feel that they are living a relatively good life. In Denmark, you live, you can say, a relatively free life. Not that many will control you. But on the other hand, it also means that you have to be a little bit outgoing yourself, because nobody will tell you what to do in your free time. So you have to be the outgoing one in terms of finding out what is it actually you want to do in your free time. Some students, for instance, would find a part-time job. Other students perhaps have a sports interest. I would like to play football or handball or badminton or something like that. Quite often, for instance, Indonesia and Denmark challenge each other in the badminton, ping pong events, world events around the world. Those would be some of the things you would do. In general, I would say life is relatively safe. Just as an example, right now we have Corona time, and what you see is that many countries are in a kind of like a lockdown situation. We were also in a lockdown situation in March, but since summer holiday, we basically have been able to keep more or less country open. So we have been able to control the spread of the virus. So that, for instance, when we talk about higher education, in many countries you have only online classes. With us, you actually have physical classes. So you actually do meet in during a daily basis to go to the classes you need to go to follow the program. So I would say, in general, you can say Denmark is also, in terms of living here by yourself, is a relatively safe country to be in.
Right. So I think living with the happiest people in the world does sound exciting, and I think you
It
share the
is.
excitement
It
as
is.
well. And indeed, COVID-19 pandemic has been a challenge worldwide. Can you share to us how is the next academic year going to look like in Zealand?
Yeah. We definitely expect that the next academic year will be so as close as it possibly can be to what it used to be before the corona. In fact, we started out in September, so in the present academic year in September, and we were actually a little bit worried about our international students, whether they actually would feel comfortable coming to Denmark to study. So we were actually fearing that there would be a lot of no-shows for September. And to our surprise, we saw that it was only a very, very few students who actually didn't join in. So even from Indonesia, our students joined in. So you can say, in that sense, I think one of the things that has been appealing during Corona time for a lot of students is, well, if Corona is here, well, then I'd rather be in Denmark than in my home country in terms of if something happens, because everything is relatively organized and safe in a Danish context. So we definitely expect that next academic year will be more or less as close to normal as it possibly can be.
All right. Well, that sounds promising, and fingers crossed things are getting
And
better in the
crossing
future.
fingers, yes.
So we
That's
also
true.
have a question on scholarships. So what kind of scholarship opportunities are available for international students, especially Indonesians in particular?
Yeah. Right now, unfortunately, we don't find scholarships in Denmark. Like I said, we are public institutions, all of us in Denmark. We don't have private institutions. So when we talk about scholarships, they only become available when you reach master level or PhD level. Then you start to see scholarships being available. But for undergraduate studies, you don't find scholarships, unfortunately. But on the other hand, you can see one of the things you do find in Denmark is, compared to a lot of other countries, the Danish government approach is, in fact, that we would like to see students remain in Denmark after graduation. So it's not like this, that you come to Denmark and then you study with us and then more or less we kick you out again, go back home. We actually would like to see you stay in Denmark, because one of the challenges the work market, the labor market have in Denmark is we are actually not enough people to fill vacant positions. So we, of course, know not all international students would remain back in Denmark, but what we can see is the one who actually stay in Denmark, they actually have a pretty good chance of finding a job. Like I said to you, we have really good employment figures and a high employability in our programs. They typically are on AP level, so the first step, if you graduate from there, there you would find employment figures around 94 to 95% of graduates who want to find a job actually have a job. It is a little bit lower when we move to the bachelor level, but still we have a relatively good employment figure and statistics in terms of, if you want to stay in Denmark, of course it takes time to find a job, but once you have it, then you actually have a pretty good chance of making yourself alive in Denmark upon graduation.
All right, that sounds exciting. And that
Yep.
actually kind of answers the next question that we have, which is about the job opportunity after finishing college. But on that note, how do you see the job opportunity considering the current situation where, you know, some uh, let's say, well, not necessarily the government, but probably employers would prefer those who are from the country instead of, let's say, international graduates?
Yeah, but I think also being a graduate, for instance, from Indonesia, but I would say from wherever, so being from China, being from India, being from wherever, of course, one of the things you have to use is, of course, you have to use your advantage. What is your advantage compared to, for instance, a Danish student who graduates? Well, first of all, you have a different background. You speak also other languages. In Indonesia case, it would be Indonesian. And Denmark, you can say Denmark as a country is an open economy. We don't have a lot of raw materials, so we are not that type of economy. Our economy is based upon trade. So a major part of Danish business is actually being exporting, importing, and we depend heavily on being able to do that. And as an Indonesian graduate, I would definitely try to use my background because you can say your advantage would be you have the degree, from Denmark. And when you compare yourself to a Danish student, what is it you have? Well, I have also a culturally different background. You can say Danish students go abroad to study for a semester to gain some cross-cultural experience, for instance, from Indonesia. How is it to do business in Indonesia? How is it to live in Indonesia? To be able to support Danish companies that Indonesian students already have. Plus, they speak the language. So being a company, I, of course, would try to use that advantage to find myself a job. And we see more and more students do that.
All right, that's very encouraging. I'm really looking forward to your session later in this week.
Yeah.
So, right, do you have any final statement to encourage the audience to give Zealand a try?
Yeah, well, my last and closing statement would, of course, be to join for the EIGF on Friday and Saturday. First of all, there will be me, and I will be able to give you a little bit more detailed input. But you will also, like I said, have a chance to meet some of our Indonesian students who, on a more, you can say, one-to-one basis, will be able to tell you a little about how is it to live in Denmark, what is easy, what is difficult, because there's, of course, always things that are perhaps not as easy as other things when you have to adjust to a different life. It is culturally different, and of course that challenge is relatively easy overcome, but still it is there, and being prepared, of course, will give you the chance of actually overcome it relatively quickly. So meet us, join the event on Friday and Saturday, and then let us help you to make your pathway to Zealand and Denmark as easy and smooth as possible.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. You're absolutely correct. Being prepared is key, and we all at EHAF are here to support people to be better prepared for what's coming ahead. So, all right, thank you very much. That is the end of our Q&A session. Everyone, just a reminder, you can connect with Zealand Institute of Technology and Business through Study in Denmark at zealand.dk and www.zealand.com. So that's correct. And for the representative, their representative in Indonesia is Mr. Yunio Caesar at info@eduplanindonesia.com. Thank you for watching.
Thank
you very much
Have a
for
nice day.
your time.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you. And see you again on Friday.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you tomorrow.